So I've got Richard in the house with me today.
Hello.
Richard is one of the lead software developers at Devs and DAOs Ireland, and we're just here discussing some, interesting topics, which is really one topic that could be very beneficial, and a big topic right now is, the state, like how is it building an MVP in 2025, and what are the things that we see significant shift now, the way things we do today in versus like a couple of years back, and that is such a big topic because. Whether you are an established organization that you are building a specific product, adding a new feature, you could treat that as a minimum viable feature of this product, or you're building something completely from scratch. And with building that, what are some of the capabilities that you can take to your advantage? And obviously, I'd love for you to share some of your thoughts on this.
Sure.
I'm going to add a couple of points from my perspective. For me, when I look at building an MVP, I'm always trying to get to a very clear point with the client. Okay, what is the purpose of this MVP, right? Do we want to, generate revenue from clients directly? Or do you want this MVP to convince an investor to give us money? So it's very important. And often, believe it or not, I get this, that founders are just looking for an MVP to convince a particular investor that, hey, look, they've got a product. And I would say, and I encourage them to say, no, let's go back in the basics, focus on building an MVP that truly solves a problem, that we build the minimum viable product of this solution that is going to be functional, that's going to be usable, right. And we're able to deploy it to a small segment in a specific niche. Perhaps we take one industry, we take one country, and we deploy it, preferably one city, deploy that, and let's have our first 100 clients using this. So now I'm like, let's focus on that, because when we focus on that from that perspective, now we take the money thing out of the equation. They just focus on building a product that solves a problem. And I have a number of use cases where this conversation completely shifts the founder's mindset, because founders often think, well, if I raise money, now I will figure it out. No, go and figure it out first. Let's build the product. Why not? We're doing the work anyway. Then comes down to the timing, like the way that we can build MVPs today in a much faster pace. I always like building MVPs that we build the product and we're able to build on top of it as the product scales. So we want to build one feature, we want to deploy to one market, and we want to get that development out as soon as possible. My rule of thumb, when I take on MVPs for clients and I want to take that product on, I would say I want to have paying client using that MVP within 4 months. From the day we start the work to the day that we're going to have paying clients, 4 months, right? 4 months runway. And if you can build a product that does that in 4 months, that means that your initial investment is going to be very minimal, and the deployment. Now, the question is, the challenge is, how do you build products so fast and take them to the market and do the marketing and start acquiring clients and continue improving them? So what can we use with today's AI capabilities to build MVPs in a faster pace that we can go from a stage to stage within that 4 months period? Maybe you want to share a few thoughts on that, Richard?
Yeah, well, the truth is, there's a plethora of different tools that you can leverage as an engineer today to speed up that initial development process and allow you to basically focus on what's more important, which is solving the problem itself and focusing on what kind of solutions you have to put in place to build that said product, for example. So, ChatGPT 5 recently came out and is very, very good at the building code and developing for you. Also, there is, for example, Lovable, which will not only generate the code for you, but also deploy it so you can have a visual picture of what that looks like. And these are just two examples, but the point is, I've mentioned before as well, is like you want to be the expert behind the tools. You don't want the AI to think for you. That's really important, your etiquette as an engineer, how you use these tools. But what it allows you to do, if you do it correctly, is it allows you to focus on what matters most, which is the problem itself and who you're solving it for. Who is going to be the end user using it? And what is that experience going to be like? And really focusing on that to ensure that the final product is at a state where a client or the end user is supposed to use it and use it in the right way. So that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I think from our perspective, whenever we take on an MVP, what we do is we want to make sure we build the product in a really fast, swift, efficient way. We leverage AI capabilities so we don't spend too much time on the things that are, not so important 3 years from post-development. but then have a very clear development execution and marketing execution in place, that how we are breaking that 4-month journey. Our month 1 is going to be really getting something really fast, leveraging some of the tools you just mentioned.
Yep.
Then we want to capitalize on that, continue build on this, deploy that very quickly on your servers, right? We leveraged capabilities that we have today that we quickly deploy. Then I want to get clients on this as soon as possible. Now you're in a much stronger position. When you do talk to an investor, now the investor doesn't just have a Figma prototype. The investor now has a working product, and the working product also going to have customers. So then you will say, well, like if you right from the beginning, that as soon as you start building the MVP, immediately you should know how much you're charging. And that's such a simple thing. If you don't know how much you're charging, and you have to work your way backwards from there. And then the next thing I advise, founders and investors, founders and business owners, I'm like, okay, now let's go and talk to 10, 20, 50 different potential clients. So we find out whether are they willing to pay that, right? You saying you're going to charge this amount for this product. Okay, and a monthly basis is going to cost them that much. Are they willing to pay for it, right? And so getting that answer very quickly. And often what happens is, I've been in a number of conversations like that where after having this conversation, suddenly the MVP changed so much. Right. And the client is like, wow, okay, you just saved me building something, spending my energy that could have simply would not be successful. And that is, I guess, the power you get by working with experts. So what I would encourage is in the early stages, leverage that type of, people around you that can help you with the space. And if you've got some experience, if you're young, have some experience, you have some joy to use Lovable, to use GPT-5, to go ahead, create the prototype, do it yourself. But then don't spend too much time. Do it to prove your concept. What are you looking for? And then pass that on. Hey, expert engineer, come in. Here's what I've done. This is what I've so far built. This is the vision I have. Now I want you to take this on, continue on this, and I want you to help me to get to the next 25 clients that I'm going to sign up on this. Right. Now that is a success. That's a path for success. Guys, if you did like this video, subscribe to the channel, like it, and please let us know. See you guys.
Bye-bye.